Welcome to the video. If you've received a message that your former employer overpaid you, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. In this video, we'll explain your obligations, the crucial net versus gross distinction, what employers can and cannot do, and how to negotiate repayment without making costly mistakes. To begin, let's quickly outline what we'll cover so you can follow along smoothly. Here's the plan for today's video. We'll start with the basics of overpayments and why responding matters. Next, we'll explain the net versus gross principle, which can save you money. Then, we'll walk through legal risks and a step-by-step response plan, including negotiation scripts and payment plan options. Afterward, we'll highlight common pitfalls and test your knowledge with short quizzes. Finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways. Before we proceed, a quick but important disclaimer. This video is educational and not legal advice. Because laws vary widely by state, province, and country, please consult a qualified employment attorney or relevant government authority for guidance tailored to your situation. With that noted, let's move into the big picture so you can act confidently. Here's the big picture. An overpayment notice can be stressful, but ignoring it is risky and can escalate matters. Fortunately, a calm, structured approach and an understanding of the net versus gross distinction will help you respond effectively. Next, let's define what an overpayment is and why employers pursue it. An overpayment occurs when your employer pays you more than you were owed. This is often due to payroll errors, benefit miscalculations, or timing issues with taxes and deductions. It matters because for larger amounts, such as those near $5,000, employers will often pursue repayment through legal channels if necessary. Generally, you have an obligation to return the funds. However, you only owe the net amount actually deposited into your bank account, not the gross amount before taxes and deductions. Acting quickly improves your chances of negotiating a workable repayment plan. With the basics covered, let's examine the crucial net versus gross distinction. On the left is the net amount, the money actually deposited into your account. That is typically what you are responsible for repaying. On the right is the gross amount, which is the pre-tax, pre-deduction figure that appears on your pay stub. You should not repay the gross figure. The employer must correct the taxes and deductions directly with the relevant authorities. This distinction can save you a substantial amount of money. Now, to make this concrete, let's walk through a simple numbers example. Consider this example. Suppose the gross overpayment is $5,000. After taxes and deductions, $1,700 was withheld, and the net that actually landed in your bank account is $3,300. In this scenario, you should negotiate to repay only the $3,300 net amount. The employer is responsible for correcting the withheld taxes and other deductions with the authorities. Next, let's visualize how to respond using a step-by-step flowchart. This flowchart illustrates the recommended response. Start when you receive the notice. First, request a detailed accounting, explicitly separating gross and net amounts with dates and pay references. If accounting is provided, verify it against your bank records and pay stubs. If the numbers are correct, assess your ability to pay, comparing a lump sum option to a payment plan. Then, contact HR or payroll to propose terms, finalize a written agreement, and follow through. If accounting is not provided, follow up in writing and pause repayment until you receive it. If your verification shows discrepancies, dispute politely with evidence and negotiate a revised amount. If you are facing hardship, provide documentation and request an extended plan or a temporary pause. Throughout, avoid authorizing unrestricted direct debits and keep all communication in writing. Moving on, let's outline your immediate step-by-step actions. Here are the immediate steps. First, acknowledge receipt of the notice promptly. Second, request a detailed accounting that distinguishes net from gross, including pay stub references, dates, and the calculation method. Third, match their figures to your bank deposits and records. Fourth, if the figures are correct, communicate any hardship and propose terms. Fifth, put all agreements in writing and have them signed by both parties. Sixth, pay only what you agree to and only on the schedule you agree to. Finally, retain proof of every payment and all correspondence. Now, to make sure the key principle has landed, let's test your understanding. Quiz time. Question. If your employer claims a $4,200 gross overpayment, but only $2,800 actually hit your bank account, Which amount should you focus on repaying? Option A, $4,200 gross. Option B, $2,800 net. Option C, split the difference at $3,500. Option D, whichever they demand first. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is the net amount, $2,800. You typically owe only what actually reached your account. The employer needs to reconcile the taxes and deductions with the authorities. With that clarified, let's talk about the legal reality and what employers can and cannot do. Legally speaking, larger sums are often worth a lawsuit for employers to recover. That said, most former employers cannot simply withdraw money from your bank account without new authorization or a court order. This means you have room to negotiate, provided you act promptly and in good faith. Next, let's list your practical rights and protections so you can assert them confidently. Here are your practical rights and protections. You can and should ask for a complete accounting that separates net and gross. You can request supporting documentation, including pay stubs, dates, and calculation details. You are not required to allow unauthorized withdrawals from your bank account. Instead, use controlled payment methods like checks or online payments with caps. If you are facing hardship, you may propose a reasonable repayment plan. Also, check your local and state laws for procedural requirements and time limits. Keep all communications in writing and store receipts and confirmations. Now let's design a realistic timeline to resolve this within about 30 days. This timeline maps a practical 30-day plan. On day 0, you receive the notice. By days 1 to 3, acknowledge and request detailed accounting. From days 4 to 7, verify the figures against your bank statements and pay stubs. Between days 8 and 10, either identify discrepancies or confirm the totals. From days 11 to 14, propose your repayment terms. Between days 15 and 20, negotiate and finalize a written agreement. From days 21 to 30, begin payments and save receipts. Include contingencies such as escalating to legal counsel if HR does not respond, requesting HR to correct tax records, and avoiding open-ended direct debits. With the plan set, let's craft negotiation language you can adapt. Here are adaptable scripts. For your initial reply, thank them for the notice, and request a detailed accounting that distinguishes net from gross with dates and calculations. If their figures are correct, acknowledge the net amount, and, if applicable, explain hardship and propose a monthly payment plan with a start date, asking for a written agreement. If you find discrepancies, present your evidence clearly and request a corrected figure. Regarding direct debits, decline open-ended authorization and propose controlled payment methods. Finally, request confirmation that they will handle tax and deduction adjustments with the authorities so your repayment reflects only the net amount. Now, let's capture repayment options at a glance. This table summarizes common repayment structures. A lump sum works when the net owed is small and you have savings, offering a quick resolution but a potential cash impact. A short plan fits moderate net amounts with a manageable budget, providing predictability but a tighter timeline. An extended plan is suitable for hardship or a larger net, reducing payment size at the cost of a longer duration and more administration. A temporary pause can help during acute hardship, but the debt remains and may require documentation, followed by a plan. With options in mind, let's check your understanding with another quick question. Question: can a former employer usually pull money directly from your bank account without new permission or a court order? Option A, yes, always. Option B, no, not without fresh authorization or a court order. Option C, only if the amount is under $500. Option D, only if they issued a W-2 or T-4. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is that they generally cannot withdraw funds without new authorization or a court order. This understanding strengthens your negotiating position while you work toward a fair written agreement. Next, let's avoid common mistakes that cost people time and money. These are the most common pitfalls. Do not repay the gross amount. Repay only the net. Do not agree to open-ended bank debits. Always get a written agreement. Do not ignore notices. Respond promptly to avoid escalation. Verify all figures against your bank records and pay stubs. Finally, Check your local or state rules for specific procedures and deadlines. To reinforce the concepts, let's visualize how the gross figure breaks down into net plus withholdings. This pie chart illustrates a hypothetical $5,000 gross overpayment. The net to the employee is $3,300, while taxes withheld account for $1,300, and benefits or other deductions total $400. You typically repay only the net slice. The employer must handle tax and deduction corrections with the relevant authorities. With all the essentials covered, let's wrap up with the key takeaways you should remember. Here are the key takeaways. Respond quickly, but remain calm. Focus on repaying the net amount, not the gross. Request a detailed accounting and verify it against your bank statements and pay stubs. If necessary, negotiate a payment plan and get the terms in writing. Avoid open-ended bank debits and maintain meticulous records of all payments and communications. Consult local counsel or authorities for rules in your jurisdiction. Before we conclude, here's a quick visual recap of the entire approach as a process. This process diagram groups your actions and the employer's actions. On your side, receive the notice, request the accounting, verify figures, propose a plan, sign the agreement, make payments, and keep records. On the employer's side, provide accounting, correct taxes and deductions, review your proposal, sign the agreement, and confirm receipt of payments. The diagram emphasizes two universal rules: keep all communications in writing and repay only the net amount. Now, let's summarize and send you off with confidence. To summarize, do not ignore an overpayment notice. Respond promptly and request a detailed accounting. Repay only the net amount that you actually received. Negotiate a realistic repayment plan and get the agreement in writing. Protect yourself by avoiding open-ended debits, keeping complete records, and checking local laws. When in doubt, consult a qualified attorney. Finally, if you found this helpful, here's how you can support the channel and continue learning. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. Share your questions or experiences in the comments so others can learn from them as well. Your engagement helps more people find reliable guidance on this topic.